By all logic, these songs should have failed. Too weird, too silly, or maybe just too ahead of their time. But every once in a while, the strange one wins.
I'm blue, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died.
Today, we're revisiting 10 weird songs that somehow conquered the world.
Shut up, your face. Scott, what's that ball doing into my show? Hey, what?
Tracks that sounded like a joke, a dare, or a glitch in the system, and then somehow took over the charts anyway. Number 10, Pop Music, M. In 1979, British Project M, basically Robin Scott, and whoever he needed in the studio, dropped pop music spelled with a K, of course.
Pop music, pop music.
Radio, video.
It rode in on a minimalist synth beat and a chant-like hook that sounded like a joke. The album it came from was literally titled New York, London, Paris, Munich, like a world tour itinerary shrunk into 4 words.
Let's do the milkshake and sell it like a hotcake. Try some, buy some, beat by 4.
Scott said he wanted to summarize the last 25 years of pop music, smashing disco, new wave, and early electronic experiments into one strange little track. Somehow, this self-aware song about pop became pure pop itself, hitting number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US, and topping charts across multiple countries, while stalling just shy of the top spot at number 2 in the UK.
I wanna dedicate it. Everybody made it.
At a time when radio was full of big-voiced rock singers and lush disco productions, pop music felt alien. No soaring chorus, no guitar hero moment, just a slippery groove. Clipped vocals and lines like radio, video, boogie with a suitcase. What seemed bizarre in 1979, this stripped-down hybrid of disco and synth pop turned out to be a preview. The song helped drag electronic pop into the mainstream and quietly sketch the blueprint for a lot of what the 80s would sound like.
Everybody talk about pop music. Talk about pop music. Talk about.
Number 9, Cars, Gary Numan. Also in 1979, Gary Numan showed up with Cars, a song that sounded like it had driven in from another planet. It was built almost entirely on analog synths and a stiff mechanical drum pattern with almost no traditional guitar in sight. His vocals sat somewhere between singing and speaking, flat and distant, as if he was observing humanity from behind glass. The lyrics circle around isolation and safety, the idea that you can hide from the world by sealing yourself inside your car, where no one can reach you. There's no big chorus explosion, no emotional climax, just the same hypnotic riff looping while synth swells and brief breaks keep the track moving. Somehow, this cold little song crashed the mainstream. It hit number 1 in the UK and reached the US top 10, bringing stark, robotic synth pop to rock and pop playlists that were still dominated by guitars. Cars proved that weird could chart, and that you didn't have to sound warm or human to connect with millions of listeners. Number 8, Relax, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. In 1983, Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood didn't just arrive, it detonated. It was blatantly sexual, loaded with innuendo, and wrapped in throbbing synths and pounding drums. When BBC Radio 1 DJ Mike Red refused to play it on air, and the BBC effectively banned it for being too explicit, curiosity exploded and the record did too. The song shot to number 1 in the UK, stayed there for weeks, and ended up as one of the decade's biggest sellers. It sounded like a club weapon engineered for radio. Huge bass, whooshing effects, aggressive groove, and a vocal that felt half command, half tease. The marketing around it, the artwork, the Frankie Say Relax t-shirts, the slogans, turned it into more than a song. It was a logo, a mood, a banner. The band became the best promo they could have asked for. What could have remained a niche club track turned into a national moral panic and then into a global phenomenon. It was too sexual, too loud, too much. And that's exactly why it was everywhere. In clubs, on posters, in headlines, and eventually in every 80s nostalgia playlist. Number 7. Cotton Eye Joe, Rednex.
If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you...
In 1994, Swedish group Rednex took a 19th century American folk tune and mutated it into a Eurodance country techno monster. On paper, it sounds like a prank. Banjos, fiddles, a pounding rave kick, and a cartoon southern accent yelling over the top. In reality, Cotton Eye Joe turned into a global stadium anthem.
If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go?
The track throws fiddles and banjos over a hard Eurodance beat, with vocals that sound like a cross between a square dance caller and a hyperactive MC. It hit number 1 in at least 11 countries and reached the top 30 on the US Billboard Hot 100, while dominating charts across Europe. In Sweden, it was the most successful single of 1994. Its real legacy wasn't just its chart peak, though. It became a go-to song for line dances, sports arenas, weddings, and cheesy club nights. The kind of track that refuses to die because crowds instantly know what to do when it kicks in. It looked like a novelty built from clashing genres. It turned out to be one of the most durable party triggers of the 90s. Number 6. The Safety Dance, Men Without Hats. In 1983, Men Without Hats released The Safety Dance, and suddenly a synth-pop protest song was all over MTV.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind. 'Cause your friends don't.
Singer Ivan Dorshuk wrote it after getting kicked out of a bar in Ottawa for pogo dancing too hard to the B-52s. Bouncers decided the up and down jumping was unsafe for the dance floor. So he turned that frustration into a catchy, slightly absurd anthem. We can dance if we want to, we can leave your friends behind isn't about safe sex or nuclear disaster, despite later theories. It's about nonconformity and the right to dance how you want, even if it annoys the people in charge.
We can dance if we want to. We've got all your life in mind. As long as we have.
An anti-dance ban protest turned into a dance floor staple, climbing to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. The video made it even stranger. Dorshuk prancing through fields, villagers in Renaissance costumes, maypoles, and a general medieval fair energy that had nothing to do with synths.
Safe to dance. Oh, it's safe to dance.
Synth pop crashed into Renaissance cosplay, and somehow it worked. The song became one of the defining 80s earworms, later popping up in shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, and Glee, proving that a weird idea with a killer hook can live forever.
It's a safety dance. Oh, it's a safety dance. Oh, it's a safety dance.
Number 5. Barbie Girl, Aqua. In 1997, Danish-Norwegian group Aqua unleashed Barbie Girl, a song that sounded like someone liquefied a toy store and poured it into your speaker. High-pitched vocals from Line Nystrom, goofy call-in response with René Diff, and bubblegum Eurodance production made it instantly impossible to ignore. It hit the top 10 in the US and went to number 1 across much of Europe. On the surface, it was pure plastic fantasy. Life in plastic, it's fantastic, with exaggerated cartoonish voices and neon synths. It was a satirical jab at consumer culture, gender roles, and the hypersexualized image of the doll. Mattel didn't find it funny. They sued Aqua's US label MCA, accusing them of trademark infringement and claiming the song turned Barbie into a blonde bimbo and damaged the brand. MCA fired back with a countersuit, and the legal fight became a headline magnet. In 2002, the Ninth Circuit threw the case out and delivered Judge Alex Kaczynski's famous parting shot. The parties are advised to chill. By then, the controversy had only helped the song. It sold millions worldwide and burrowed so deep into pop culture that it resurfaced decades later around the 2023 Barbie movie. Bright, ridiculous, and endlessly mocked, Barbie Girl proved that a novelty sound can still be a cultural landmark.
Well.
Number 4. Shaddap You Face, Joe Dolce.
1, 2, 3, 4. When I was a boy, just about the 8th grade,
In 1980, Australian-American entertainer Joe Dolce put out Shaddap, a comedy song built on an exaggerated Italian immigrant accent and a simple accordion groove.
But to making me sick of the thing I gotta do, I can't get the no kicks.
It sounded like something you'd hear once in a TV sketch and never think about again. Instead, it turned into a #1 single in 12 countries and sold millions. The song plays like a mini comedy routine. A cheeky kid complaining about his strict mama, getting shut down with "shut up, you face" over and over.
Some man to you, hey, got no respect. What do you think you
The production is bare bones. Folkish chords, hand claps, call and response chorus. But that simplicity made it stick. In the UK, it famously blocked Ultravox's dark, dramatic Vienna from reaching #1, a chart decision still cited as one of pop history's great injustices.
accordion solo?
Critics mostly rolled their eyes and dismissed it as disposable novelty. Listeners didn't care. It was easy to sing, easy to parody, and impossible to forget, which is exactly what the singles charts tend to reward. Decades later, it stands as one of the unlikeliest mega sellers, an accordion-driven joke that outperformed some of the most carefully crafted songs of its era.
Shut up, you face. What's that ball doing into my show? Hey, what?
Number 3. Blue, Eiffel 65.
Yo, listen up, here's the story about a little guy that lives
In 1999, Italian trio Eiffel 65 released Blue and accidentally soundtracked the end of the millennium. A bouncy synth riff, 4-on-the-floor beat, and that nonsense hook made it unavoidable. In clubs, on radio, on kids' music channels, basically anywhere there was a speaker.
I'm blue, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died.
It hit #1 in countries across Europe and reached #6 on the US Billboard Hot 100. The lyrics felt borderline nonsensical the first time you heard them. I'm blue, da ba dee, Ba Dee, wrapped around verses about a lonely guy in a completely blue world.
I'm blue, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died.
The vocals were heavily processed with pitch shifting and auto-tune style effects, which critics at the time wrote off as a cheap gimmick and proof that this was disposable club fodder. But the song refused to go away.
I have a blue house with a blue window. Blue is the
That opening synth line is instantly recognizable decades later, even to people who couldn't quote a single verse. Blue, da ba dee, has been sampled, memed, and flipped in new pop songs, constantly getting reintroduced to new generations.
blue are the words I say and what I think. Blue are the feelings.
It was weird, repetitive, and a little ridiculous. And that turned out to be the perfect recipe for long-term pop nostalgia.
I'm blue, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been.
Number 2. Informer, Snow.
What's up, man? Hey, yo, what's going on, yo? I'm sick and tired of 501.
In 1993, Canadian artist Snow, Darren O'Brien, released Informer. And suddenly a white kid from Toronto doing rapid-fire dancehall patois was sitting at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Informer, you know, say that I'm a snowman, I go blam. I like keep on bum down.
The track blended reggae fusion rhythms with a hook most people could barely understand, and it stayed at the top for 7 weeks.
These are them no coming out, they blow down my door. Rain it can pour through my window, so they put me in never.
The chorus, Informer, you know say daddy me, snow me, I'll go blame, became one of the most misheard refrains of the decade. The verses reference Snow's real-life run-ins with the law and the idea of an informer, a snitch in the neighborhood. None of that stopped radio from hammering it. The rhythm was hypnotic, the hook was strange but sticky, and his delivery didn't sound like anything else on early 90s American pop radio.
Informer, you know, say that I'm a snowman, I go blam. I like keep on bum.
At a time when the charts leaned heavily toward R&B ballads, new jack swing, and rock bands, Informer felt like it came out of nowhere. It confused listeners, amused them, and lodged itself in their heads anyway. To this day, it stands as one of the oddest #1 hits of the era. Proof that clarity isn't essential if the groove and cadence are strong enough.
Turn informer. Informer, you know, say that I'm a snowman, I go blam.
Number 1. Blue Monday, New Order. In 1983, New Order released Blue Monday, a 7+ minute track that barely bothered pretending to be a traditional pop song. It was built almost entirely out of drum machines, sequencers, and synth bass. with Peter Hook's bass guitar dropping in like a guest star rather than the main attraction. It sounded like a machine having a mood swing.
How does it feel to treat me like you?
There's no tidy verse-chorus-bridge structure, almost no lyrics, and Bernard Sumner's vocal is cool and detached, floating over an extended club arrangement designed for DJs and all-night dance floors, not 3-minute radio slots. The sleeve, designed by Peter Saville to look like a floppy disk, was so elaborate it reportedly lost money on each copy sold, even as the record took off.
I see a ship in the harbor. I can't unshallow.
Blue Monday didn't smash the US charts right away, but it dominated clubs, alternative radio, and the underground scenes that fed into house and techno. It went on to become the best-selling 12-inch single of all time, moving well over 1 million copies in the UK alone and many more worldwide. What once sounded cold and futuristic, a post-punk band surrendering to drum machines, ended up foundational. Blue Monday didn't just sneak into the mainstream, it quietly rewired it. Music history proves that "this will never work" might be the most powerful sentence in the studio, because every so often, that's exactly the song that breaks through. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.